Okay, so I want to talk about Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima? I'm probably really mispronouncing this game's title, but you know what it is. It's a new game on the PlayStation 4 from Sucker Punch, who also did Sly Cooper and Infamous. This game is an open-world RPG game, and you play as Jin during the 13th century, and the Mongolian army is taking over your island, which is the island of Tsushima, or Tsushima, if I'm even pronouncing that even close. But yeah, you are a samurai, and you are now tasked to helping your people of the island and taking it back from the Mongolian Empire. I don't want to get too much into the story because I know a lot of people are still playing this game. It's not a super long game. It's kind of like maybe mid-long, depending on if you do go through and get all the collectibles and stuff, which is more on that a little bit later. But I will touch on a little bit of the story, just to so you know what's going on. The Mongolian Empire is there. They're taking over your island. They've raided your village and a ton of other villages. While they raided your village, and during the battle that happened because of it, they took your uncle and they are holding him at one of their bases, and you are trying to rally together a bunch of different types of warriors to help you storm that base, take it over, and free your uncle. And that's as far as I'm going to get into the story. Now more about the gameplay. So as I said before, this is an open world RPG. But it's not exactly as you would expect an open world RPG. There is no loot and there's no inventory system. But that's not to say that there's no reason to explore. There's tons of reason to explore and all sorts of collectibles that will unlock certain things for you throughout the game. There is a lot of customization options, not just in the skills, which I will talk about in a little bit, but also in the appearance of your character. There are things that you can find through exploring and through different missions called sword kits. And sword kits are just different designs and cosmetics you can get for your sword and your little assassin dagger blade thing. You can also find different designs for your bow and arrow. You can find different designs for your headgear, like headbands and hats and different types of masks and stuff, but also you can find different colors for your various types of armor. There is different types of armor in the game. Each different type of armor kind of lends its bonuses and its skill enhancements to different types of gameplay styles, and each of the different armors can be upgraded. There's also armor for people that like to just kind of go in and tank and hack and slash, like me. There's armor for people that like to use a lot of bow and arrows, and there's armor for people that really like to be sneaky. Another way the game really lets you customize things is not just along the lines of cosmetics, but also how you play the game and what your style of combat is. That's one thing I really liked about this game, was you could, through the skills and the armor types, you could really customize the combat to be towards your play style. That being said, you still kind of had to stick to the basics of the combat, which I found to be a little bit frustrating. One other thing that Ghost of Tsushima does is these different type of stances, which is what you will use through combat depending on the type of enemy you are fighting. So there's a stance for enemies like that have shields, there's a stance for enemies that have spears, and so forth, which I feel like the stances are kind of really cool in theory, but in practice I found them annoying, and it caused a lot of stop and go during my combat. Combat never was like a fluid thing that would happen throughout the game. It was really just fight, open up menu, change stance. Fight this one enemy, open up menus, change stance. Fight this other enemy, and rinse and repeat. And I was constantly having to stop and go, which I do not like in my combat at all. And within each stance are different button combos you'll have to memorize. So you don't only have to switch your stance depending on who you're fighting against, but you also have to then remember what combos to use for the stance you're using. I really didn't like any of that. I kind of didn't mess with the stances a whole lot. I would stick to the just kind of basic, rounded, sort of good at everything stance, which is the first one you get, and then I just kind of killed everything. Which you can do, but that's not really how the game is meant to be played. But also, while we're still talking about combat, is there's not only hand-to-hand combat or ranged with like a bow, there's also a lot of hand-thrown, or I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, hand-thrown type of combat devices. There's a smoke bomb, there's like a sticky like tar bomb or something like that, and then there's like daggers, like ninja stars, but samurai daggers that you can throw at people, and so forth, which just kind of makes things a little bit more fun. Going back to a little bit more of the exploration, there's other things around the world and the environment that keep you wanting to explore, even though you're not really picking up loot, so to say. There's things like hot springs that when you find those, if you interact with it and you kind of reflect on what's going on in the game so far, that will increase your overall health. There's these fox dens that when you find a fox den, a little fox pops up and he's like, hey man, follow me. And you're like, okay. So you follow him and he'll take you to a fox shrine. And then when you pray at the shrine, that upgrades your ability to use more charms. And charms are, you know, they're just kind of like in every other game you play, they're just kind of like runes and stuff like that that you place on yourself to give you different bonuses. Now, overall, I will say the game is nothing new. You've played this game before. It offers nothing new or creative to the genre. But with that being said, I still love it. I've had a lot of fun playing the game, and honestly, I don't need every new game I play to reinvent the wheel for me to still be able to enjoy playing it and exploring and just kind of overall enjoy my time with it. I've had a lot of fun playing Ghost of Tsushima. It does get pretty repetitive though. The island is split up into kind of 3 different areas based on where you are at in the story. And by the time I was about halfway through the second area, it really started to drag and I felt like I just was doing the same thing over and over again. And there wasn't really anything keeping me wanting to continue to play. I won't say the story is anything exciting, and I really felt zero connection to the character I was playing. You know, the samurai thing is really cool and everything, but it just doesn't make us a very fun character to play, or, I mean, it's a fun character to play, but not a very good character for, I feel, people that are really into character and story can really relate to. Just basically because throughout the whole game, you know, you just keep being told, oh, samurais don't feel emotion and you've got to be strong and level-headed and all this stuff. So that really kind of turned into an unemotional, I don't know what's the right terminology, but it just really turned into a very kind of empty feeling character. He had a little sparks of personality every now and then, like the first time you actually had to assassinate somebody. Apparently in samurai world, it's just very dishonorable to kill somebody from behind. When you kill them, you want to look in their face and respect the life that you're taking, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of struggled with that at first, but then it was all good. I was just stabbing everybody in the back and he was over it. So yeah, I felt like the character was really boring and just very hollow. And most of the other characters I interacted with, especially the ones that I would say play the biggest parts in the story, feel the same way. They're just kind of all very hollow and very empty feeling characters, which sucks, and I think that's kind of what also made the story feel very boring and empty to me. I liked the things going on in the story, and it did interest me, but then again, at the same time, not caring about my character or any of the characters I'm interacting with, that made it really hard for me to get really invested in the story. So overall, I did really enjoy Ghost of Tsushima, and I did think it was a very good game, a very beautiful game. It's very pretty. And the ability to always be changing my play style, if I wanted to be stealthy for a while, and then instantly switch to be tanky, I could. And I really liked that the game allowed me to just change up my playstyle and how I wanted to handle each different type of instance of combat on the fly, just all the time. Was really cool. I really like that. But yeah, I would recommend it. It is a good game. It is a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyways, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you've thought about Ghost of Tsushima. And as always, I totally love you.